The National University of Singapore is ranked first in Asia by QS World University Ranking, and the Department of Architecture situated in the university is ranked 5th in the world by QS World University Ranking by subject. And so we are guaranteed to provide quality education to our students. In our program, we aim to train students in all aspects of architectural conservation, including the policy, including say desktop research and study, but as well as really hands-on experiences, as well as hands-on skill in actual materials, technology, and other aspects of conservation. We have all the facilities required for surveying. We have also an architecture lab, art lab, conservation lab that will help to serve as a kind of teaching ground for students' hands-on experiences.
In MAArC program, you will get the opportunity to learn many policy-making strategies, also from many professionals in the conservation industries, the government, and even some craftsmen all over the world.
So it's not just like a master of architecture per se, that we learn just about design or like building procurement and all, but also about like the policy, the material, the social aspect, all of these like different things that revolve around architecture, conservation and heritage.
Understanding and balancing both the tangible and intangible aspects of heritage is important, particularly for a land-scarce nation like Singapore. Conservation isn't just about deciding what to keep. It is also about understanding the technical and economic aspects of repurposing buildings to ensure their relevance.
I knew I wanted to work in the conservation industry from my bachelor's in architecture. I'm very used to conservation or being related to history, and conservation to me was very clean and like related to museums, right? A very sanitized version of history. So when I was more exposed to conservation, I realized that conservation is actually very broad. And in Singapore now, we don't have the capacity to do a lot of things related to conservation.
I did my Bachelor's of Architecture in India. Then I worked for about 6 years as a project architect, which was essentially building new buildings and not so much looking at what was existing at site. Then I do the course and then I go back as an architectural designer, but with a specialization in conservation. Now what that does is it allows me to explore what are the possibilities without having to take down to any part of the building. That is one. Second, because now Singapore is focusing so strongly on conservation as a whole, and it sort of aligns with their goals of 2030, green plan, carbon zero policy. It all comes together and it becomes very helpful to have studied conservation.
Well, we draw our teaching faculty from different parts of the world, and they've been trained in the UK, in the US, in Japan, sometimes in Italy, and we are looking towards a sort of multi-talented pool of faculty with experiences all around the world, in China, in India, in the UK, in Hong Kong, in Japan, and bring them all together to help us with the teaching.
When I was a student, we had an ASEAN field school where we had teachers, where we had professionals from overseas to come and teach us, share with us their expertise, and also we had students and officers from all over ASEAN to come to participate in the field school itself. So it was a great learning opportunity to hear about the situation, not just in Singapore, but also in the other ASEAN countries and their own experiences in heritage in their own countries. And we also had case studies because it's about modern buildings. So we don't just learn about old buildings from the 1900s, 1800s, but we also deal with concrete, more modern buildings to look at conservation in the future.
During my internship, I interned at the National Heritage Board in Singapore. So I was under Heritage Research Policy in NHB. And during my 2 months internship, I mainly did some research on the intangible cultural heritage, ICH.
The Master of Arts in Architecture Conservation offered by the Department of Architecture here in NUS is a top-notch program relating various aspects of conservation practices, and I think it's the best program in the world in terms of architecture conservation.